So you're tuning in because you want to, get a better handle on relationships.
Yeah, understand the dynamics a bit better.
Exactly. And specifically, what sorts of things might, well, put a damper on a potential connection?
Yeah,
Especially from a woman's perspective.
right.
You want the insights, but let's be real, who has endless time? So welcome. We're going to do a deep dive into this really interesting article. It's called The Biggest Relationship Turnoffs for Women. It's by Anna Drescher. She's a mental health writer, background in psychology, psychotherapy.
And importantly, it's not just like one person's opinion. It's been reviewed by PhD psychologists.
Yeah, and based on what women themselves have actually said, their experiences.
Exactly. Think of this as your shortcut to understanding some really key relationship stuff. We're not just guessing here. It's grounded in actual experiences people shared.
Okay.
So our goal today is really to unpack these main icks, as the article kind of playfully calls them, and give you some clear, actionable takeaways. We don't just want to list them off.
Yep.
We want to dig into why these things are turnoffs and maybe suggest some alternatives, different ways to approach things.
Okay, sounds good. So the article kicks things off as per communication. Now, you might think, okay, obvious, but it's got layers, right?
Absolutely. It's defined here as communication that's, inconsistent, unclear.
Right.
And think about the impact of that. Psychologically, it creates this feeling of instability, uncertainty. It can really amp up anxiety, especially if someone has, more of an anxious attachment style where they seek reassurance.
Yeah.
That kind of on-again, off-again contact can feel really unsettling. It kind of triggers those fears of, like, maybe being abandoned.
Yeah, we've actually got a quote here from someone named Katie that really nails this. She says, I really like this guy, but his communication is so on and off, and sometimes he just doesn't seem interested. It's starting to put me off because I don't want to waste my time. If you feel that, right?
Yeah.
Investing energy and not getting that consistent reciprocation.
Yeah.
It's just draining.
It really is. And the alternative, it's not about needing to be in touch 24/7. That can be too much, actually.
Right, overwhelming.
Yeah. It's more about showing genuine interest through, like, thoughtful engagement.
Yeah.
The article mentions things like, sending a fun or flirty text sometimes.
Okay.
Asking about her day and actually, like, listening to the answer, remembering little details from past chats, sharing something interesting about your day, too.
It's about making them feel seen, valued.
Exactly. Seen as an individual.
Okay. Then another big one they bring up is indecisiveness. And again, this isn't just, where should we eat?
No, this digs deeper into the actual relationship dynamic. The article talks about behavior where someone's kind of hot and cold. They don't follow through on plans they make, or they sort of expect the woman to do all the heavy lifting, driving the relationship forward. Psychologically, that's just exhausting. It really undermines that fundamental need we have for security, for predictability in a partnership.
You're always guessing.
Always guessing where you stand. Yeah.
Claire's experience, quoted here, really sums it up. Going from hot to cold and then hot again is exhausting. You can't fully relax or move forward because you're constantly wondering what he's thinking. That constant second guessing must be so tiring emotionally.
It really is. And maybe, initially for some people, that push-pull dynamic might seem intriguing for a hot second.
Maybe, briefly.
But like the article says, it gets frustrating really fast.
Yeah.
The alternative is, clarity, showing investment.
How so?
Be clearer about your intentions. If your feelings change or plans change, communicate that, honestly. Show you're engaged by, actually planning dates sometime.
Right. Take initiative.
Yeah, maybe talking about the future, even casually. Keeping contact reasonably consistent. Showing real interest in her life, her world.
Makes sense. Okay, let's shift gears. Something maybe more straightforward, but definitely critical.
Yeah.
Poor hygiene.
Yes. Seems pretty self-explanatory, this one.
You think?
And the article doesn't really mince words. Bad breath, body odor, dirty fingernails, a messy home, just general uncleanliness. These are major deterrents for a lot of people.
Basic stuff.
It is basic, and fundamentally it kind of suggests a lack of self-respect, maybe, and consideration for people around you.
Yeah.
The fix, prioritize personal hygiene. It says a lot about how you show up in the world.
Absolutely non-negotiable for most,
Yeah.
I can imagine. Okay, next. Game playing. This feels like such a minefield in modern dating.
Oh, it can be. The article draws an interesting line, though. It mentions some soft game playing,
Mm.
maybe waiting a bit to text back.
Right, that kind of thing.
Which maybe some people initially find a little intriguing, but then it contrasts that with the more manipulative stuff.
Like what?
Things like ghosting, just vanishing, negging, which is that awful tactic of subtly putting someone down to make them insecure.
Ugh, yeah.
Booty calling, only hitting someone up for sex, gaslighting, making someone doubt their own reality.
That's serious.
Yeah, or just playing hard to get in a way that feels really insincere or, hurtful.
And the intent behind it seems key here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That soft stuff, if you can call it that, might have a super short-lived appeal for some.
Maybe.
But the manipulative games, huge red flag. They just kill trust, show a total lack of respect.
Exactly. Healthy relationships, they need honesty. Mutual respect, not manipulation. The alternative is pretty simple. Just be direct, be genuine.
Yeah.
And if you find yourself wanting to play games, maybe worth looking at what insecurity is driving that.
Good point. Okay, other really vital one. Sexist behavior and language. This should just be a non-starter.
It absolutely should be. And the article gives some, depressingly common examples. Dismissing emotions by saying things like, oh, is it that time of the month? Right. Making sexist jokes that just perpetuate harmful stereotypes.
Yeah.
Trying to enforce outdated gender roles. Treating women like they're primarily sex objects. Yeah. And the classic, mansplaining.
Ugh. Explaining something condescendingly, assuming she knows less.
Exactly. All of it just screams disrespect, a belief in inequality, fundamentally.
And it's not just saying these things, is it? The article points out that staying silent when others make sexist comments can also be a big turnoff.
That's a really crucial point. Silence can easily seem like agreement, or at least like you don't care enough to object.
Right.
The alternative is clear. Treat women as equals. Full stop. The article even suggests looking inward, are there personal insecurities feeding those attitudes? And importantly, speak up. Call out sexism when you see it.
Definitely. Okay, let's move to something that can be maybe surprisingly off-putting.
Yeah.
Boasting. We all like to share successes, but there's a line.
Oh, absolutely, there's a line. The article really highlights that excessive bragging about your job, your status, money, even sexual prowess, it can be a major turnoff. It often reads as insecure, actually, or self-centered, like you're trying way too hard.
Yeah.
Women often seem to value authenticity, humility, much more.
We've got a couple of examples here that really bring this home. One person apparently kept talking about his cool university friends and their, immature pranks.
Oh, dear.
And another felt the need to basically invent some impressive research project they'd done. That lack of just being comfortable with who you are, it comes across.
It really does. There's a huge difference between quiet confidence and needing constant validation through bragging, right?
Total.
The alternative, focus on showing genuine interest in the other person. Show you care. Communicate honestly. Your actual achievements. They'll come up naturally when they're relevant. No need to force it.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Now, what about when the conversation itself is just flat? The article calls out being boring as a turnoff.
Yeah. And this covers a few things, like having nothing much to talk about, or the opposite, maybe, only talking about yourself.
Oh, yeah. That's tough.
Lacking a sense of humor, always wanting to just stay home and do nothing. It just leaves the other person feeling, unheard, uninterested, like there's no real spark or connection happening.
Priya's example of a date where the guy literally only talked about himself. And Tiffany's situation where every date was just chilling at his place, it suggests a lack of effort, maybe a limited perspective.
Precisely. The alternatives involve, actively working on your conversation skills, being a good listener, that's huge.
So important.
Showing genuine curiosity about her life, her interests, and suggesting very thoughtful things to do together. It shows effort, willingness to step outside maybe a narrow comfort zone.
Right. And kind of building on that idea of effort, laziness and apathy are also on the list. This isn't just about liking a chill night in, is it?
No, it's more general than that. The article defines it as a lack of motivation about, say, personal appearance, keeping your place decent, pursuing life goals.
Okay.
It can signal a lack of drive. And as the article notes, maybe sometimes it points to underlying mental health stuff that needs attention. The women quoted mentioned being turned off by someone who just seemed content to, watch TV and scroll social media all the time. A lack of ambition.
So it's not about needing some super high flyer, but more about seeing some spark, some engagement with life, some direction.
Exactly, some internal drive. The alternative, naturally, is focus on your own well-being. Set some goals, even small ones. Find interests, passions.
Makes sense. Okay, let's talk rude and disrespectful behavior. Feels like another one that should be an obvious deal breaker.
It absolutely should be. The article lists things like gossiping excessively, being rude to service staff, that's a big one,
Oh yeah, tells you a lot.
showing a general lack of care or empathy for other people or the world, holding intolerant views, bigotry.
And bad-mouthing exes falls in here too, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely. It often suggests they haven't really processed things, haven't moved on, and it hints they might talk about you that way someday.
good point.
These behaviors just give you a clear window into someone's character
Hmm.
and how they might treat you or people you care about down the line.
So the alternative.
Be mindful. Think about how you talk about others. Practice kindness, tolerance. Find things you actually care about, beyond yourself.
Yeah. Okay, covering a lot here. Another ick mentioned is clinginess. This one feels a bit more subjective, maybe. Different people need different amounts of space.
That's very true. The article defines it as things like constant, like really excessive texting, demanding to see someone all the time, invading personal space. And while, consistent contact is generally good for building connection,
Sure.
excessive clinginess can feel really overwhelming, suffocating even for many people. Katie's quote again about finding it unbearable. That sounds like someone who values her independence.
And the article mentions attachment styles playing a role here, doesn't it? Like, someone more avoidant might find clinginess especially off-putting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Avoidant types tend to prioritize independence, so that level of constant demand for closeness can feel threatening. The key is finding a balance. Show interest, make an effort, yes, but don't smother them. Respect their need for space. Let things develop naturally. Patience is good.
Okay. Now, how about being too focused on looks? You might think complimenting appearance is always good, but the article suggests maybe not.
Well, it's about balance and depth. While, sure, appreciating how someone looks and saying so can be nice.
Yeah.
An excessive focus on looks, making it the main thing, that can make the other person feel kind of superficial. Valued only for their appearance, not their personality or intelligence or anything else.
Like they're just an object?
Kind of, yeah. So it's about seeing the whole person. The alternative. Offer compliments that go beyond just looks. Really invest time in getting to know them on deeper levels, emotionally, intellectually. Who are they really?
Makes sense. See the whole picture.
Yeah.
Next, the article tackles addiction. It lists things like drug use, gambling, excessive drinking, smoking.
Yeah, significant turnoffs. Tilly's experience at that concert, mentioned in the piece, really underlines how jarring and unacceptable this can be, especially early on.
Right. Introduces a lot of instability and potential problems.
Absolutely. Addiction can be devastating for the person struggling and for any relationship they're in. The article's advice is pretty direct here. If you're dealing with addiction, getting professional help is just crucial.
Yeah, fundamental. Okay, another really key part of partnership, being a selfish lover. The article stresses this is a huge turnoff.
Oh, definitely. When one person just consistently seems uninterested in their partner's satisfaction, whether that's physical intimacy or emotional needs or even just shared enjoyment,
Yeah.
it leaves the other person feeling used, unfulfilled, like their needs just don't matter. Tiffany's comment about it always being all about his satisfaction,
Yeah.
that says everything about that kind of imbalance.
So the alternative is pretty straightforward.
It should be. Be considerate. Be genuinely interested in your partner's needs, their desires, their well-being, in all aspects of the relationship. It's a partnership.
Right. Okay, finally, the article brings up not making an effort with friends and family. Seems maybe smaller than some others, but important long term.
It can carry a lot of weight, yet it often signals a lack of real investment in building a shared future, doesn't it?
Yeah. If you can't be bothered with the important people in her life,
Yeah.
what does that say about your commitment?
Exactly. It can be interpreted as, well, not being that serious about where things are going. The article suggests simple things. Make an effort to show up for important events. Try to remember names, maybe a detail or two about her loved ones.
Show you're paying attention.
Yeah. Show genuine interest when you meet them. Offer help if it's appropriate. These things might seem small, but they show you care and you're willing to become part of her wider world.
Wow, okay. That was a really thorough rundown. So when we look back at all these different turnoffs, what are the big themes? What ties them together?
Well, it really seems to boil down to some fundamental things, doesn't it? Respect, consideration for other people, emotional maturity, and showing genuine interest in the other person as a whole human being.
Yeah.
A lot of these icks are basically signals that one or more of those core qualities might be, well, lacking.
So for you, listening to this, reflecting on these points, maybe in your own interactions, your own relationships, it could be really valuable.
Definitely.
It's not about, like, changing who you are fundamentally or playing a part. It's more about awareness.
Yeah.
How might your actions be coming across? How can you build connections that feel more fulfilling, more meaningful
Yeah.
for everyone involved?
Exactly. And it does leave you with a really interesting thought, doesn't it? Beyond avoiding these common, maybe obvious turnoffs, what are the subtle things, the small shifts in behavior that really signal genuine care, that truly build that lasting attraction, that's maybe something worth mulling over as you navigate, the complexities and the joys of building relationships?